Ooh, I didn't even go to the Twitter one either. Let's see. There's probably a YouTube chat somewhere too, huh?
It might just be here.
Oh,
We do
okay.
have we do
Cool.
have YouTube streaming though.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're like live on YouTube already, aren't we? Hello, everybody. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Thanks for showing up. Let's go. Let's build. Let's scale.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Scaling Ethereum 2024 Build Guild Workshop Scaffold-ETH Building On-Chain Apps. Joining us today is Austin Griffith, who will be taking us through this session. And with that, I'll pass it over to Austin and get the session started.
Yeah, let's go. All right, let's just dive right into it. Welcome to Scaling Ethereum. You guys have a few weeks to build something awesome. So hopefully let's just kick it off and get y'all building. Let's see. I think there we go. There's the, oh man, I don't want, let's see, how can I do this? Whatever. Okay, let's go. No time. All right. I'm Austin Griffith. I'm from the Build Guild. I'm here to make sure that you have the tools you need and education you need to build cool things on Ethereum. Today, I will be demoing how to build an app and deploy it live to an L2 in 30 minutes. Let's go. I've already burned into 2 minutes of it. So I'm going to use MPX Create ETH. The reason why I use this one is because it shows off that we can use Foundry, even though I probably will just select hard hat. But let's go. We're scaling ETH demo. All right. And I'm probably just going to use hard hat, but you can use Foundry. It's an option there. MPX Create ETH at latest is going to give you the latest version of Scaffold-ETH 2, an app building and hackathon stack, great for building apps on chain. Let's go ahead and jump into this scaling demo. Let's see. There we go. And let's look at the code, right? Let's see what our code looks like. So you're going to have a couple packages. You'll have either Hard Hat and Foundry, or you have either Hard Hat or Foundry, and then you'll have some Next.js app, right? And these are kind of the two folders you need to look at. There's this contracts folder where we're going to be editing this smart contract, and then there's this app folder where we will be working on an app. And that's kind of these two main files, this page and this contract are kind of the places that you'll spend the most time with Scaffold-ETH. And then there's one little like config file, scaffold.config. We'll probably mess with those three files today. But it really all starts with the smart contract and getting you, the builder, to tinker at home with smart contracts. And so let's get this started. Let's see where we are. So I need to I can kind of follow the directions here. I need to fire up a chain, right? That's going to get a nice little local blockchain running. And I need to yarn start, and that's going to get us a nice back end go, or that's going to get us our front end going. And then finally, let's open this up and I'll do a yarn deploy. And that yarn deploy is going to ship a nice example smart contract to our blockchain, and we can tinker with it locally. And it's free and cheap and private, and we can just mess around all we want here in our own little sandbox and figure out how we want our app to work. So let's see. Let's look at localhost and see if we can see our app here. See what we have. Should be spinning up. And there we go. Okay. And really what you'll do first is probably jump over to this debug contracts tab, because what that is going to do is allow you to kind of poke at and see your smart contracts. And you get into this kind of routine where you can take some Solidity and tinker with it and deploy it, and then kind of poke at it with Scaffold-ETH and kind of figure out what you're even going to build. So let's just look at this smart contract real quick and see what we have. There's quite a few things in here kind of as an example for you to figure out. There's a lot of primitives. If you're a coder, you're going to be able to pick up Solidity very quickly. One really good resource is Solidity by Example. If you land on Solidity by Example and just go through each one of these concepts, you're going to find so much information and valuable concepts for you. Like ETH verse way is like one of the first kind of things you need to figure out how gas works, right? But then once you kind of get these weird concepts that kind of come along with blockchains, you're just writing code. And if you're a coder, you're going to be able to pick this up very quickly. Uh, You move into from primitives and data types like we have here, like addresses and strings and bools and numbers, right? You'll move into mappings and arrays and structs and kind of more interesting storage primitives. Here we have a mapping an address to some uint. This is just some counter for each user. And let's see how they use that. What do they do with that? Yeah, so basically, whenever anyone sets the greeting, it's going to increment some counter for each user, just kind of showing off this stuff. This is just a demo smart contract. It looks like this greeting, which is like a string, is getting set here, but this function is also payable. So you can pay money, and if you pay anything greater than 0, it looks like it makes your tweet or your greeting that you're sending out here premium. So let's go play with that, right? Let's see how that works. If I try to set a greeting right now to hello, it's going to give me an error. It's going to say, hey, you don't have any money, right? We're on our local network, but we still need to grab some funds, and that's what this is here in the corner. This like nice little grab funds from the faucet button. And that loads you up with a bunch of ETH. And then you can take that ETH and now we can go try to set a greeting here. What happens if we say hello? All right, look at that. Our greeting changes to hello. And let's do that again just to see it. We spend a tiny little bit of ETH for gas and we set our greeting, right? Ta-da, a greeting smart contract. And let's just tinker around and make sure this code is working. Let's send a little value, right? Let's send one way, the smallest amount of money you can send possible. And we hit send. And sure enough, our premium goes to true. Now, I was just talking about this concept of ether versus way. Scaffold-ETH is going to show that to you very clearly. And let me prove that here. So 0.001 ether. So I'm going to change the amount to make your greeting premium. I'm just kind of arbitrarily changing some same things in here to show you the builder, the difference between ETH and way. So here we're denominating this value as a decimal with the term ether after it. And that's basically the same thing as taking it times 10 to the power of 18. That does the same thing, but in a nice little format where we can see 0.001 ether. So now if we go over here and we pay one way, premium should actually be set to false, right? Let's go ahead and redeploy our contract and let's try this again. So yarn deploy is going to put out a new smart contract. We'll see a new address show up here. Premium is now false. And if I say hello, and I send in one way, premium remains false, right? I need to send in 0.001 ether, and I think I did greater than here, so I need to add 1 there. Okay, but I can't send this in, right? It's going to be like, hey, that needs to be a big int. And so this shows how this is kind of a debugging interface. This is for developers. We want you to have to clearly hit this times 10 to the 18. So you realize that you're taking this value, which is a decimal, and turning it into way, right? So 0.0011 ether is equal to this many way. And the EVM doesn't want to mess around with floating point math, so it uses all whole numbers. So we kind of do this trick where we multiply by 10 to the 18, and it's just a thing as a developer you have to learn. But here we go. Now we set the greeting. We paid 0.0011 ether, and we have a true flag that's set there, right? So this just shows one of those concepts, just the aha moments you need to have as you go through building on Ethereum of ether versus way. But spend some time here. Go through Solidity by example and understand these concepts. What you can do is just follow each concept. You can take something and you can copy paste it into your smart contract, and you can hit deploy, and then you'll notice this new, so we put in a my map there, right? So now over here in our debug, there's now this my map, and it looks like you can put in some address and you're going to get some value out, right? And that's set to false, but maybe we could get in here and say my map for this address equals yeah, 100. And we'll deploy it. And then if we do this same check again, we'll see a new contract come in here. And then if we go ask that new contract, there's our 100, right? And we could say 100 ether, and we're going to see 100 ether over there, right? So hopefully you're getting the drift of this. Basically, you have this kind of template project that acts as scaffolding that helps you tinker with Solidity at first, and then eventually build out a front end on top of that. So let's get going though. We need to get this thing fully deployed. So I'm going to assume that you, for your hackathon project, you're going to spend a lot of time here. You're going to tinker with Solidity. You're going to figure out what you want to build. Uh, a lot of times I like to do just like a little simple, like, let's see what happens here. So we have this withdraw function, and it looks like people can pay in to set the greeting. But this withdraw goes to the owner of the contract. And really what you eventually don't want your contract to have an owner. The best smart contract is a smart contract that you deploy that does exactly what it's supposed to do through some kind of incentive mechanism, and not even you can stop it. That's the best smart contract app you can build, is something that not even you can stop. No one can stop, with good economic incentives that have it run forever and as make an app as hard as the chain that it runs on. Okay. So in this app, we have this withdraw function where only the owner can call it. And what I'm thinking is I want to have a delegate that gets paid here. So instead of the owner, I want to have some delegate that gets paid. So what I'm going to need to do is create some address public delegate, right? And maybe we even set some default value. I'm not even going to worry about that. But then we need a function, right? If I hit save and I deploy this, we'll see a delegate show up on our smart contract, but it's just going to be the 0 address, right? There's nothing set there. So we're going to need a function to set that, right? So let's create a function real quick called set delegate. This is a demo I do a lot of times. I'm going to go ahead and make sure only the owner can do that. We'll add that is owner modifier. What's a modifier? Go learn what a modifier is. Go to Solidity by example and go find modifiers here. And they're going to teach you how you can basically you add this extra check, like this owner check. You add that on top of some other function by adding it to a function here. So when someone calls this function, it actually goes and calls this information and then calls the rest of your function. You'll learn all of that stuff as you go, and Scaffold-ETH is great for tinkering. But now we have a new function called set delegate that lets only the owner set the delegate. And let's go test that real quick. And if it works, we'll move on to building our front end, pretend like our whole app is deployed and ready to go. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but if there is, hit me up. Also, I am very, very open on Twitter. I'm at Austin Griffith on Twitter, and I'll throw that up in a little bit. But let's check our contract. Let's make sure it's set. Okay, so we have this new delegate address that we created, and then we have this set delegate function. So let's go ahead and just set the delegate to Vitalik real quick. Okay, so it's not going to let us do this because this guy's the owner. It's going to say something like not the owner, which is what we want. Perfect. Okay, so this is proving that any old person can't set this. Only the owner can set it, which is a good test. We want to test that. But really what we want to do is set ourselves up as the owner. And let me go look at the debug. Yeah, here. So what I'm going to do is copy my address and paste it into the deploy script. And now when we deploy, hopefully we will be the owner. We're watching this address right here. Yep. Okay. So we have a new contract. We are the owner. Okay. And let's set the delegate to Vitalik.eth. And let's hit send. There we go. Okay, now the delegate is upgraded. Okay, so it worked. We're able to set the delegate in the contract. This is what we wanted to do, but this is a really gross interface, right? This is kind of a developer interface. Now let's go build a little React to get you started with building your front end, and we'll ship this thing out in a few minutes. So let's pretend like we've tinkered around with our smart contract for a long time. We've kind of done lots of tinkering here and playing with it here and testing it. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is this burner wallet that I'm using here. You'll notice that when I hit send, I'm not getting any pop-ups or any MetaMask chain errors, anything. It's because I'm using a burner wallet, and burner wallets are great for working locally. Let me show you one other thing with the burner wallet. If I open up an incognito window and we go to localhost, you'll notice that a smart contract is a massive multiplayer game out of the box. So anyone can get to my smart contract and play around with it. We can see that Vitalik is the delegate. We can see that this guy's the owner. And here I have this green guy here, this green and blue guy here. What happens if green and blue guy tries to get in here and set AustinGriffith.eth as the delegate? What we want to see here, we want to be sure that this guy can't do this. Yes, not the owner. Okay, so bad guys can't set the delegate, and we can test that by just opening up an incognito window, getting a burner wallet, funding it, and trying it, right? Now, of course, eventually you should write a bunch of tests and have a good test suite here. But at first, when you're tinkering, when you're just figuring it out, you're just testing assumptions, this is a great way to do it. Okay, and now let's see. Let's go over here and actually set it as the owner and make sure it works, right? We test the sad pad, we test a happy pad, we test a sad pad, we make sure bad guys can't set it, we make sure good guys can set it. This is the good guy, and he sets it and it works. Okay, so we've built and tested our smart contract. Let's pretend. You'll spend a lot more time here, but for now, let's just pretend like we're good. I've only got a half an hour to do this whole thing, and it takes 5 minutes to deploy the app. So we only really have like 9 minutes to deploy the rest of this app. So we're going to have to build a front end. Let's get in there and do it. Okay. So let's go to our Next.js page. Okay. And what that is this page right here. And they're doing some nice things here. They're giving us the connected address already. And to do that, we're using WagMe, right? So you can always go to wagme.sh and shout out to the Wevm dudes, WEVM dudes. They have built some amazing tools and we're using their tools, but we're even wrapping their hooks in our own hooks to make it even easier for you when you use Scaffold-ETH. But you can always fall back to WagMe or even drop into VM and write some scripts there. So we have the connected address. And just to point out, we're using Next.js server-side rendering. So since we're going to do some client-side stuff here, you'll notice I have this use client here. And we have the WagMe hook coming in, and we have it displayed. But this is really nice. This address component is really nice. And let me show you what it looks like without that address component, right? So you can see that we have the connected address here. We have a nice blocky preview, and we have a nice copy. If I just take this connected address and I just paste it in there without that nice component, it's going to look ugly, right? It's going to look gross. Let's hit save here and let's go see it. Yeah, look at that big gross address, right? No one wants that. What you want is to have a nice, pretty component that shows you most of your address so you can visually identify it with a nice little visual blocky and a copy. And on top of that, if you click this, it's going to take you to whatever block explorer you're on. We happen to be on localhost here, so it's just taking me to localhost. But as we switch our app to a live chain, that link on that address is going to change. So your whole app can switch networks by changing one thing, and all the addresses will link out. Okay, let's clean this out. We don't have much time. Let's build something quick. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. How we looking? How we looking? We should have just your connected address. That's very nice. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to read from the smart contract. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a hook. We're going to use scaffold contract read. And this is changing. I think WagMe is changing in WagMe v2. I think they're changing the hook from use contract read to use read contract. They know what they're doing. We're just following along, but pretty soon these two words will be swapped, but you can always just kind of like go here and do autofill there. Okay, so we want to use scaffold contract read. We want to, again, I can do autofill. I can say my contract name needs to be, now watch this. It knows what my smart contract name is. No matter what I'm doing over in Hardhat or Foundry world, as soon as I compile and deploy those artifacts are then injected into my front end. So my front end knows about all of these things. It knows about all the read functions on this contracts. Let's do function name. Watch this. It's going to give me a list of all my functions. That's so nice. What I want to look at is who is the delegate, right? Yes. And we'll just put, there's no arguments here. So some data is going to come back here and we can rename it to whatever we want. So let's rename it to delegate. Now let's see. This should work. We should be able to copy this whole thing and we'll say delegate address, right? And we can put in this delegate. Whoa, come back here. There it is. Okay, we know the delegate. Okay, so I want to do that again. And I want the owner's address. So we're going to grab the owner too. I think that's a function here. We'll find out in a second. Woof, I am making a mess. Here we go. And then so hopefully all of this can be copied down here and we'll say owner and owner. So we're just reading another value from our contract. So we know who's connected to the app. We know who the owner of the smart contract is. We know who the current delegate is. Now, what I want to do is add one more feature here. I want you to be able to set the delegate. Okay. Boy, we don't have very much time, but let's see. Let's say set delegate address, right? And instead of an address, we're going to have an address input. Okay. And it's going to have, let's see, let's just find out what we need. Oh, I probably need to install that import from Scaffold-ETH. Very nice. All right, there's probably some like placeholder. Oh, here we go. Look at here's all the things. Okay, so what do I really want here? What do I have to have? I need a value, and we're going to set the value to new delegate. Okay, and then on change, there's probably going to be some function, right, that does something like set new delegate to whatever the value is, something along those lines. Boy, that's messy. Okay, now let's see if Copilot figures out that I need, nope, that's not what I want. I want, yes, that right there, some state, right? We need to keep some state. Whoops, we need to keep some state that tracks this new delegate. Okay, how far are we? There we go. And when I type stuff in here that goes into that state, nice. Notice this nice preview too. If I do Vitalik.eth, I'm going to get a nice ENS preview. I'm going to see his block key. Very nice, just like nice to have things when you're building your app that you're not going to get until you have to build your own components. And that's why Scaffold-ETH kind of has this stuff built for you. Okay, so we need a button now, right? And on click, this button is going to make a smart contract call, right? It's going to set some thing. And let's do class name is the usual. We need to set this as like a button and a button primary and set delegate. And by the way, those this flavor of CSS is coming from Tailwind CSS, and our components are daisy.ui. And you can find all this stuff kind of in the Scaffold-ETH docs. There's a lot of docs here that help you kind of get through this, but I'm going as fast as I can here. We need to write to the contract. So far, we're only reading from the contract. Let's create a write. So to do a write, guess what? You're going to use scaffold contract write. Okay. And we're going to write to the contract that's named your contract. And we're going to call a function. What's the function we're going to call? Probably set delegate. Oh, it's already there. Let's see. I want it to auto. Yes, set delegate, please. And then we're going to have some args here, actually, with the new delegate. Okay, how's that look? Oop, we got an extra quote there. What's it unhappy about? Okay, I think it's happy. And what is here is a write async, and we'll set that to set delegate, right? Very nice. So now we have this function set delegate that we can call. And when we call that function, it's going to set the delegate to whatever this state variable is. And that's perfect. We just go down to our function and we say, okay, when someone clicks this, let's have it do set delegate, right? We might be set. We might have our app ready to go. Let's go see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm connected. I'm the owner. I'm able to do this. Let's set the delegate to Vitalik.eth and let's hit set delegate. And let's make sure this changes. It does. Okay, so our smart contract works, our app works, we're ready to ship this thing. We have a matter of minutes left. So what you need to do now, when you're deploying to a local chain, you're probably going to have a lot of the stuff taken care of because you have this nice faucet. You have this address that just is full of money and it can deploy things. But when you deploy things to a public network, you need to generate an account. So we'll need to generate a deployer account. And oh, wow, I made that really big. Let me just show that off here. And this is all in the docs of Scaffold-ETH. If you go to Scaffold-ETH and you go to the GitHub and you follow along, all of these things that I've been doing here are documented and you can follow that. But we need to do a yarn generate, and that's going to generate a deployer account. It's going to hide it in my git ignore. We're going to fund it with just enough money so we can deploy this thing. And you can go to a yarn account and get a nice little QR code even. Let's see, where are we going to deploy this thing? Let's put it out on any kind of public network, maybe an L2. Let's fund it first. I think I saw that Gnosis chain is funding this, and maybe we can argue. I think it's a side chain, not an L2, but usually I deploy to Base. But I think since Gnosis is a big sponsor of scaling ETH, I'm going to go ahead and use my Gnosis Punk wallet, and I'm going to try to deploy to this app to Gnosis. Let's find out. So I'm going to send in $1, which is way more than you need to deploy. I just deployed on Base at ETH Global London, and it costs 2 cents. And of course, like varying prices, it's going to be more or less. But Yarn deploy, here's how you go to any network you want. You do dash dash network and you put in the network name, whether it's mainnet or Sepolia or Base. Pick your L2, pick your side chain. We're going to go to a side chain. Here we go. Yarn deploy Gnosis. It's going to cost us a fraction of a cent to put a smart contract out there. And we have to do one more change. Okay. So now our app basically is going to live on Gnosis, but you'll notice that it still says hard hat. We need to make one more change, and that's to this scaffold config. And what you do is you just point it at this new network, Gnosis, and you hit save. Now watch what happens. Your whole app is going to, I need to do burner wallets. Don't worry about burner wallets. You'll connect a normal wallet, but since I have this burner wallet, I need to use it. Normally, let's show that you'll disconnect here, and then you'll hit connect, and you'll have a MetaMask, and it'll bring up all the MetaMask-y stuff. But I don't want to do that. I just want to use a burner wallet for now, but your app can use MetaMask. Okay, let me get this started too. So that the front end needs to deploy, I'm going to do a Yarn Vercel YOLO prod just to like get that going. Again, this is in the docs. This is how you put your app out there. But I need to get it started because it takes so long. Yes. Okay, it's setting up, it's deploying our front end. It's going to take some time, so that's running. But let's just look at our app now that it's on Gnosis. You'll notice that this thing changed to Gnosis, right? Let's get this out of here too. This is bugging me. Cancel, get out of here. I don't want that. Okay, I just want my burner wallet. I've got my burner wallet here. I've got some money on Gnosis. Our app is actually live on Gnosis. And to prove that, let's go look at our contracts again. If I go to debug contracts, I see this address. Watch what happens when I click this address component. Where's it going to take us? It takes us to the Gnosis Block Explorer. Isn't that nice? So whatever app you point this thing to, you point your app right here, and your whole app just changes over to that new network. Okay. So our smart contract is live on, I don't even know what I just clicked there. Our smart contract is live on Gnosis, and technically people can use it to go set the greeting right now. Hello, scaling Ethereum, right? And should we do premium? No way, I'm not paying. Oh yeah, it's like 0.0011, right? I can pay that much Gnosis. Here we go. Hopefully this sets. We should see our greeting change. We should see the premium go to true. This is a transaction happening out on Gnosis. We could go look at that. But hopefully our app should, we probably needed to change our polling interval to a little bit faster, but let's see how it looks. Yes, there we go. Oh, no, it still says building scalable apps. It's still trying to make a transaction. How's it looking? Did it work? Did our app go? There it went. There the transaction goes. Now let's go check and see. Yes, hello, scaling Ethereum. Okay, so we were able to do we were able to set the greeting there, right? And this is from the debug contracts. It's kind of an ugly view. You'll want your users to use this nice front end. And we have 1 minute left, and we're still waiting for our app to go there. But remember, you can go to scaffold.eth.io. You can look up Scaffold-ETH. You can grab this repo or MPX create ETH, and you can go through basically what I've gone through here. You kind of edit your contract, you get your app working well, you deploy it live, and then you edit your front end and get that talking to your smart contract, and then you deploy that live with this kind of Vercel command. But then what comes out of that is basically a smart contract app that lives on your L2 or whatever chain you're on, and anybody can use it. Oh, the URL is live. Here we go. Scaling Ethereum. There we go. I can even connect. Let's go ahead and connect my MetaMask just in case. So anybody out there can follow this URL. Let me paste it into the chat. And if you go to the URL, you can set the greeting here. But really, only I can do this last demo here where I set this on. So I'm going to do this on localhost, but you can go to the URL and do it and connect your wallet. But I'm a connected owner and I'm a burner wallet. So I'm going to set the delegate to Vitalik.eth and hit set delegate. And notice there's no pop-ups because this is a burner wallet, but I'm using a live app. I'm talking to a live smart contract. We tinkered and deployed all of these things just now. And now Vitalik is the delegate of this smart contract I made. And as people pay money to set the greeting, I can hit withdraw and it's going to send it to Vitalik for some reason. And that's the build. Go use Scaffold-ETH. The docs are out there and very helpful. I think I've pointed you at most of the things. If there's any questions, let me show you my Twitter. Find me on Twitter. I'm this guy. I'm this guy with the bow tie. Yeah, that guy. Go find me on Twitter. My DMs are open. Hit me up. We just launched a new grants program within BuidlGuidl. We have Speed Run Ethereum, which is the greatest curriculum. If you're trying to figure out how to build things on Ethereum, this will show you how, but also like the what and the why, and really give you all those aha moments. And it uses Scaffold-ETH. So when you come out of Speed Run Ethereum, you're going to be ready to build apps quickly on whatever chain, however you're scaling. I think that's all. Any questions, Rory and crew? Are we good? I think I'm a little bit over time. Sorry about that.
No, no, you're all right. There aren't any questions in the chat, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask now. Now's a perfect opportunity whilst we have Austin live.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Watching the chat too. I'm not watching the YouTube chat. That's a little bit too far. Let me see. Where's the YouTube chat? I haven't been watching that.
Actually, we don't have the chat. The chat's disabled
I
for
think we're
live.
good. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Well, you know where to find me. I'm this dude on Twitter and my DMs are open. So reach out if you have any questions. And really go speedrun Ethereum. I think this is the best way to get started, but go build something awesome for this hackathon. You have a couple of weeks. This is its perfect starter kit. I just built a full live app in 30 minutes. Of course, it's kind of like a toy app. You'll have to spend some more time on your smart contracts, but this should set you up to deploy an awesome smart contract app on any of the L2s or side chains or main chains. Thank you, Rory. Thank you, ETH Global. Let's go build some stuff.
Awesome. Cheers, Austin. Thanks again for the brilliant workshop. And thanks to everybody else for attending as well. We have a Twitter space going on now, what to expect for scaling Ethereum 2024. So check that out. And yeah, we got some more workshops later today. So we will see you all.